And welcome back to the show. Well, here's a topic we haven't talked in about, I don't know, 24 hours or so on this network and this program for that matter. Hillary Clinton's emails. But there's a good reason for broaching the topic today, as a top intelligence official under President Obama, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, telling Fox News' Megyn Kelly last night that the chances Clinton's private emails were hacked are, quote, very high.
What do you think the odds are that the Chinese, the Russians, hacked into that server and her email account?
Very high. Likely.
Really?
Yep, likely. They're very good at it. Those two countries, you know, China, Russia, Iran, potentially the North Koreans. I mean, these are countries, and other countries who may be, you know, quote unquote, our allies because they can.
Mr. Flynn also saying someone at that level of government should assume that everything she touches belongs to the government. Nothing is personal. And that was more convenient for her should not have come before the safety and welfare of others. Even Mrs. Clinton admitted to that back in March.
Again, looking back, it would have been better for me to use 2 separate phones and 2 email accounts. I thought using one device would be simpler, and obviously it hasn't worked out that way.
And about a week after that press conference, a CNN ORC poll found that 51% of those polled said Mrs. Clinton's use of personal email system instead of government provided one to be very or somewhat serious problem, and 51% at that point, or at the point, she had not done enough to explain why she used this private email system during her time as Secretary of State. We keep bringing this up and discussing what impact this email scandal will have on Hillary's chances of running in 2016, or winning for that matter. But now a top intelligence official in the Obama administration has come out and said those emails being hacked are very high, the chances of. Does this change anything, Mr. Hank?
Oh no, this will put people to sleep. You know, the Republicans will talk about this during the campaign, and everybody will need no-dose tablets to stay awake because it's just terrible. It's dumb. It's not going to work.
Don't you think some Democrats are worried, though, as well? It seems like Martin O'Malley, since the email scandal, seemed to really ramp up his campaign seeing an opening.
Martin O'Malley should worry about being remembered. People meet him, they say, nice guy. Who was his name? Irving Schwartz? I mean, no one remembers that guy. He's like the wind. They came in and they left. Wind is gone. Nice wind. Thank you.
Empty suit.
Well, you know what I think this whole idea of the hacking has really brought to light is the problem we have with cybersecurity. You know, we've talked so much for the past month about the nuclear issues with Iran and what we have to worry about. And now we know that, you know, some people think for sure that Hillary Clinton's emails were hacked. We know that the White House, the State Department, we found out today, Russia hacked into there. And yet we don't talk about how to prevent that. This is a major issue. You know, when the lights went out in Washington, D.C. today for a while, there was a question as to whether or not that was terrorism. That can happen as a result of cyber terror.
It can. It happened in Die Hard 4.
Right. And who knows? And there's many things that happen in the Die Hard movies that happen in real life.
Before you jump in.
Yeah.
All right. Allow the moderator to ask you a question.
Go for
I
it.
know what you're going to say. You will go and you'll look to the camera and you will say, it's not going to matter.
No, I'm not.
This
I'm
means
not going to
nothing.
pull the camera on this
Okay,
one.
good. I want to talk about the political aspect
Yes.
of this. All right, and not what you think. It's funny that a member of the Obama administration goes on national TV and says, oh, those absolutely could have been hacked, given that there seems to be a rivalry still between the Obamas and the Clintons. Everything seems calculated.
Maybe.
Nothing happens by accident.
It's an ex-member of the Obama administration, and frankly, not somebody who was on the inner circle, not even in the universe of the inner circle.
General.
So what? He's a military guy. We don't know other military guys while Obama was president who don't agree with him.
Still, he knows going on
let me
national
tell you,
television that people like us will be talking
he got on Fox. You know, let's talk about what I think is much more interesting is what Heather alluded to. Today we learned that the White House, and did you say also the State Department?
It was the State Department. That's how
the
they got in.
State Department,
That's
where
how they got
Hillary's emails were supposed to be, and it's a great big disaster she didn't put them there. Well, guess what? Those emails were hacked by the Russians.
Are you saying the
So
server that
what's
was in her
the
outhouse, what difference does it make? Were you going to
They
say
were
it?
going to hack her anyhow if she was in the State Department. That's how ridiculous this. Heather's right. What we ought to be focusing on is how this can happen and how we stop it. Instead, it's much more fun for Hillary's opponents to make a big fuss out of the fact that she could have been hacked when now we know that the State Department was hacked and they would have seen her emails that way.
Hank, you're nodding in disagreement.
Okay, so now that we've excused Hillary because she was able to see into the future,
Right.
She had this extraordinary ability. There's this time warp.
I've
that
never
she can,
excused
oh,
her.
excuse me. We can see. We can look into. She can see everything. Only she can see it. Look, the real issue is she got hacked, and anybody in high position in this government or any government in the world can be hacked and their information taken. But it's especially awful when you are the most important superpower in the world.
But
Well,
the
and when you
State
take-
Department was hacked.
But the thing is, Rick, she was willing to take that risk to protect herself, and that is a problem. And it goes to the same thing we've talked about over and over again: arrogance, hypocrisy,
Right, but
contempt
don't miss
for the rules.
my point. I have not defended Hillary ever about this. I think she was wrong. But you have to acknowledge that had she done it all the way correctly, it sounds like she would have gotten hacked anyhow, that they would have gotten her stuff anyhow.
If I had paid my taxes correctly the first time, I wouldn't be paying the interest. I got it. What a deal.
It's still breaking the rules still makes a difference, whether or not it would have been the same
She didn't
result.
break the rules.
She did.
No, we've been through this. The law. She did not break the law.
The rules. She broke the rules.
And on that note, I'm almost speechless. We'll leave it there. Up next, it's potluck time, thankfully. This is the Daily Wrap, and it's only on Newsmax TV.